swear to God, on my mama, I ain't lying, bro. I done smoked a lot of weed and never been this high before. You might think I'm sleepy when you see me cause my eyes is low, but no, I'm wide awake. I just been smoking on the finest growth. Never been deprived.
What up, everybody? What is going on, man? Welcome y'all to another episode of the Empromptu Podcast. Right here with your host, M. Brown, man, where I'm bringing y'all the dopest conversations with some of the dopest people, not just here in the Midwest, but in the world, goddammit. I'm bringing you some dope shit, man, from some of my best friends and some of the people that I've come across paths with in life. We jumping right into it like we always do. Not too much to up front. You know, it's a crazy world. So I'll try to bring y'all a little bit of relief through these conversations. This person I'm about to call, good friend. I want to say I've known him for close to 20 years now. Close to 20 years. We met in college. He was doing things in entertainment. I was starting comedy. Crazy story. I don't want to tell y'all too much before I bring him on, but let me get my phone out. Let me call him up. I know I talked to him this morning. I told him, I ain't telling him what it was for. I was like, man, I'm going to hit you back a little bit later. Let me get him on here.
Hello.
Yo, Brandon, what's good, bro?
What's going on, man? What's poppin'?
Nothing much, man. What you got going on today? What you got? You busy? You got about 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah. I'm just here in the loop, and I go check out some properties.
Oh, okay,
Take
yeah.
some photos.
Oh, okay, that's what's up, man. So I dropped the podcast last week, and you were probably like this is probably like the fourth or fifth episode, but man, I'm doing casual conversations with good friends, people I think is making moves, moving and shaking, people that impacted me, who I met along my journey through this thing called life. That's why I asked you if you had a couple minutes before I started, but let me give you the proper introduction. For everybody and stuff like that, man. I appreciate you, but I gotta let everybody know the stuff you do and why they should be listening, why this conversation even matters. I wrote it down because I didn't want to miss nothing. I might miss some stuff, but all right. Bringing to y'all, man, a good friend of mine, born and raised in Peoria, Illinois. He's a recording artist, toured with Big Boy of Outkast, nationally touring, spoken word artist, DJ, father, husband, college professor, God-fearing, great friend and colleague of mine for, I want to say, damn near 20 years. This is 2025, so damn near 20 years. Man, y'all start clapping, make some noise for my good friend, Brandon Alexander Williams. Y'all, make some noise, man. I'm so happy.
What's up?
So happy he answered the phone.
Nah, I appreciate you.
Man, thank you, man.
Yeah. Hey, I don't get calls from you often, so I don't mind answering.
Man, but whenever what's crazy is whenever we do end up talking, we end up being on the phone for too long. It end up being long conversations because it's always, you always dropping gems on me and be like, man, I need more. I'll be like, man, Brandon, don't go yet. Let me get some more information from you. Be like, don't go.
Yeah.
But this conversation is important to me because I don't know if I've told you or how many times I've told you this before, but you actually started my comedy career. You was the first person to bring me on stage, the first person to call my name and say, hey, man, I don't remember if I was M. Brown yet. I might have still been Emmerich Brown. But you was the first person to bring me on stage in lower level Grinnell. And for that, I'm always appreciative of you. I don't know if you remember, after that first time I performed, you had put me to the side. I was like, bro, you funny as hell. Would you host the next one? I'll give you like $50 or something. I was like, $50? I'm like, nigga, that's that was life-changing money in the college dorms, in the dormitory.
Man, straight up. Yeah, no. I remember you definitely being a natural at it, and I know I was trying to get away from hosting,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't like a funny person, but I was a talented person, and I think I started to get paid for gigs, which is why I was even able to offer that.
Okay.
And I want to say the first event, it was at the Quickly Hall, and I believe Tavon Moore, her last name is Colquitt now, she's married,
Mm-hmm.
but she reached out to me on behalf of the SG Rose, and got me hired to book me and T-Red.
Okay.
And I was the first, like, amount I got, so that's why I even got the 50 prompt. Like, oh, we're paying 50. Like, that's a reasonable amount.
Right, right. Man, but
So,
for an 18-year-old that was broke in the dorms, man, $50 was a lot of money, man. That's at least 2-3 nights worth of dinner if you ordering out.
right, straight up.
So that made a big difference in me. But through the years, the progress I've seen you make just in life in general, but you've always been, even back then on campus, you was always a major contributor to the black part of life. We didn't go to a HBCU. We went to SIUC in Southern Illinois, Carbondale. It was close to a HBCU actually, but it wasn't. But you was always involved in the black life and pushing black culture forward and things like that. What got you involved in that? Because you always, like, from the time I met you, you was always a part of not just the Greek part organization part, but you was a part of just pushing black students forward and making sure that we knowing and we was doing right. So what pushed you to be an example for other students?
Man, really, honestly, I want to say, like, so I'm the youngest of 8 children.
Mm.
And you can imagine that at some point in my life, I wasn't getting a lot of attention.
Right. Okay.
And so I realized this is funny. I was just talking to my wife about this. I didn't realize that I was fine, right? That I was attractive until my freshman year of college. And when I noticed it, I had an epiphany to where I was like in a new gain confidence. And it was simply because it was somebody who I saw that I always thought was fine, was too scared to talk to. They didn't say directly on that you was fine, but it was like, they said something in a way like, oh, you're a freshman? And it was like, the way they said it was like, oh man, I thought you was older. I thought you were more established. And then, but I say all this to say that the Lord put it in my heart that, like, let me know that when I observe something on somebody, to tell them right away.
Okay.
Especially if it's positive, because my grandmother always taught me, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And so I don't believe in, people that's just like, oh, I'm telling it like it is. And it's like, you also giving unsolicited advice.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I ain't
And
asked for that.
me,
Right.
Yeah, I ain't asked for that. I ain't asked you to tell me how to. And then my thing is, there's nothing worse than, like, presenting a problem to somebody and not presenting a solution. It's like if my pants are too baggy and I can't change them right now, and you ain't got no bobby pin or no clip to help me, you know what I'm saying, no safety band.
Right.
Don't tell me my pants is baggy. Let me just walk around with baggy pants.
Right. Right.
And
That's great advice. If you
opposite
don't give advice if you don't
Yeah.
got a solution.
Bingo, yeah. And so I've always thought that and developed that philosophy. So the reverse engineer part of that is, when you see somebody doing something dope, you give them props. Because it don't cost you nothing. And I truly never thought that I was in competition with anybody. Unless I'm actually in a competition. But even after that competition, I'm like, yo, that was dope. So anytime I would see somebody that was funny or that could rap well or that could sing well, I make sure that I would always tell them. And when I tell them, I lay it on thick. Like, I'm not just going to be like, yo, that was dope. And that was it. Like, no, I'm going to be like, yo, that was dope. It reminded me of this person. Like, I want to give them a reference or say something that could, like, prove to them, okay, he really means this.
Right. That and I can attest to that, because whenever you do see something that I'm doing, you usually call me or text me quickly like, hey, do this with it. This is the next step. Even when I called you about this earlier, when we talked earlier, you was like, man, have you got your copyright for it? I'm like, man, what the hell is that? I'm like, let me Google it real quick, because I don't be trying to sound dumb, but you be laying some knowledge on me every time I talk to you. And it's always great. USPTO. I'm like, okay, let me get on that. So it was that's always good to have a friend in that space that would help you with stuff like that. And now you're married. How many kids you got, Brandon?
3.
Oh shit.
3 children.
You
I got
right
2
there
girls
with me.
and a boy.
Just like me. 2 girls and a boy. Just like me. How is that? How did that change your outlook on life and the way you go about things? Because I know you. We've talked in the past about legacy and how you have picked up the legacy from your family. Because you mentioned that you out taking pictures for as a realtor, but I know from past conversations that that's something that you watch your parents do, and now that it's it's something that you picked up.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to say as a parent, my ideas have, I guess to put it in short, I've really trimmed the fat. As a single man, I would try this, try that, maybe this, maybe that. But it's like, once I got married, had children, now it's like, okay, what actually works? What's actually valuable for time? And it's like, what matters the most to you? And what matters most to me is spending time with my wife and children. And I'm able to do that if I can maximize how I can make money. And so, in 2019, the Lord blessed my wife with the witty invention of becoming a realtor and starting a real estate investment business.
Okay.
And I'm talking, when I met her, she never really expressed any type of interest in owning real estate, or let alone starting a company. That's how I know it's divine.
Right.
And so when our son was born, he was put in a neonatal ICU, and she was fired on her recovery bed from a nonprofit. And she said, she prayed to the Lord, and he told her to look up, something else. I got something better for you. And long story less long, she approaches me maybe a month or so later and says, baby, could I borrow $400? I want to take an online class to get my realtor license. And all I've ever seen my mom and dad do was support each other.
Right.
I never seen my mom discourage my dad or my dad discourage my mom. So I'm just like, yeah, absolutely. No, like, here you go. But bro, when I tell you, like, I saw her after she started that class, I saw her sit at the dinner table to midnight almost every night for like a month straight. And she got a realtor's license, found a broker, and wrote this whole business that we're existing in now. And so now she's a real estate broker. So now all the money is in-house. Because you used to have to pay a broker a fee, you know what I'm saying,
right,
to manage you and everything.
Okay. So you guys have your own brokerage.
Yes, we have our own brokerage
Okay.
now, right? So like you see Keller Williams, you see Garcia Properties, you see Coldwell Banker, we're Williams Claytor.
Okay. Okay.
And
I saw
Claytor's
that.
her
Okay.
grandfather's name.
Okay. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, so as far as like legacy goes, I guess I'm way more serious as a parent, and I'm at the point where I believe that for our children, we should choose the choices they choose from. So like, we keep talking to our daughter, and we keep telling her she's going to be an attorney, and so I'm narrowing down, like, do you want to go to Howard or do you want to go to Spelman?
Right. You putting that in her brain early.
Bingo, because here's the thing, and what I'm going to tell my children is that when they get older, I'm like, hey, if you don't want to do the plan that's laid out for you, write me a 10-year plan and let me review it, then I'll let you do it. But if you don't have that, you're going to be in the family business.
Right.
I done already talked to my nephews and nieces, like, hey, when you turn 18, you get your Missouri realtor license and come sell houses in the summer with Uncle Brandon. Because
that's great.
What my family did, what my grandfather and my granddad and grandma did, they had the company, but they didn't make us or force us to do it. And I kind of wish they did. Like, I wish it was like, Brandon, when you turn 18,
you're going to get your
license. And whenever you come in town, you know what I'm saying, we'll get you a property or two to write up a contract on and give you partial commission. And that way it's like, I got one foot in, one foot out. Because then what I would have done is, I still would have been doing poetry, but I'd have been like funding my career for real. Right.
You would have. How much more could you have done if you would have had a couple extra grand coming in from selling a property or two a month? Would have made a big difference.
I would have threw way more events. I would.
You still there?
Door, and I'm gonna pay everybody off the door. You get older, you're like, oh, I'm supposed to get sponsors. That way the door is all mine. Right. So if M Brown is 2,500, you know what I'm saying, and T Murph want, $20K, it's like, oh, I got sponsors for that. So now the door is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so we ran into janky promoters back in the day where it's like, oh, I didn't have enough to pay you tonight. After you get off the stage, it's
Right,
like, joke,
all
what
right.
you talking about? Like,
Them was the
like,
worst. Them was the worst
I did
times.
amazing.
Right. But I did great for the 5 people that was here. They loved me. I need every I need every single penny. Now you mentioned wait, let me ask you this first before I go into that. So your wife got her license before you did, or you already had it?
She got her license before I did. I just got my license in January, 10 days before my birthday.
Of January of 2025?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Make some noise for that. I got buttons. I got buttons to push for that. I got buttons, bro.
Yeah.
I got buttons, man. That's what's up. Small secret. I took that test 4 times, never passed it. But we're going to move on. Let's not talk about that.
So you did national and state?
No, I just did state. Okay. I took the class online, but I think the problem was I was online. I'm an in-person type. I need to go in person. And when I took it, it was during the pandemic, and it wasn't in person being offered. But I plan on doing it again. You did yours in person?
I'm that way for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
I'm in person.
I failed the Missouri state test 3 times and passed it on the 4th time.
Oh, okay. So I don't feel bad. We in the same boat. We in the same boat.
Feel bad. No. Because they're gonna get you with the legalese.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're gonna give you 4 answers that look identical.
That's exactly what it was.
And if you don't know it, you don't know it.
But like encroachment, I knew that off top. That's when somebody tree on my property. That's easy. Stuff like that I got, but it was the hardest stuff that got me. The how deep should the basement be?
Appurtenance, easement.
Man, I'm like, man, come on now. But you mentioned, and when I met you, you was doing spoken word, and you also used to freestyle and rap, but you leaned hard on spoken word. In our generation, what made you go that route? Because everybody wanted to be a rapper, but you was like, nah, I'm gonna do spoken word, positive. Everything was always positive. You used to do this one poem. I can't remember the name of it, but it was my favorite joint. About the pen. That right?
Mr. Right.
Mr. Right, nigga, that was my shit. For 20 years, I've known but you went hard on the spoken word. Everybody else, but you made spoken word cool in Carbondale. It wasn't that many, but if they had something going on, even with the ciphers and stuff, I think you might even put them together. We couldn't wait to hear Real Talk, the spoken word artist turn rap spoken. Like you was it. Like you was the one on campus that everybody was like, no. You want to hear some deep shit, man. You go see Real. We're gonna go see Brandon. So what pushed you into spoken word versus rap?
Man, so all right. So I was introduced to rap at the age of 10.
Mm-hmm.
My big brother Steve and my cousin Chris, they was in Chris' house in Downers Grove in his basement.
Okay.
And I remember I heard Elevators by Outkast. And I was like, what is this? Like, I ain't never heard nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? And they was rapping so good on the joint. And ever since then, I'm like, okay, all right, I want to do rap. I want to be a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I used to go on this website. And some people who listen to this, they don't know what I'm talking about. There used to be a website called Original Hip Hop Lyric Archive.
Yes.
Or OHLA.com, OHHLA. So I used to go on OHLA. And I would look up anything I could find by artists I heard of, and I would read their lyrics. I would read and study their lyrics. And so, like, for me, it was Outkast first, then Busta Rhymes, then Eminem, and then it grew from there.
Okay.
But, like, I always wanted to rap and always secretly wrote raps.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school, Peoria High. I graduated with Sean Livingston.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, I used to sneak in a radio and put, like, 12 D batteries in it, and I had a burnt CD with instrumentals. And because if we got caught with electronics, we'd get in trouble.
Right.
So I used to tell everybody crowd around.
So you will have the 8. The fact that you mentioned the 8 batteries in the radio. Some people won't realize how many batteries it took to power that CD player.
Oh man, you had to put like 12 D batteries in the joint.
Man.
And so I used to we'd be in the foyer before school started, right? Get there early. And so all the people that was rapping, I tell them gather around. So this was kind of like my first experience as a DJ.
Right.
Because I'm playing the beats, but I'm not rapping. I refuse to. But I would watch everybody that was rapping. I'd be like, okay, he's fire. He's not fire, but he won't stop rapping.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's spitting and written. He's actually freestyling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go home and I would write like the best raps ever. And I would come back the next day, play instrumentals, then freestyle. I go put the radio in my locker.
Mm.
And one day, my older sister, one of her friends, his name was William. We used to call him Ouija. I let him hear one of my raps one day, and he was like, "Dude, this is super cold. How long you been rapping?" I'm like, "Well, I don't rap for real. I just be right." You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
I was really big on like honing my skill before I showed it to anybody. And 17, what was it, my junior year, my father went to prison for 2 years for a white collar crime.
Okay.
And I remember seeing Def Poetry Jam and seeing Black Ice from Philly,
Okay.
bald-headed dude. I remember hearing him and saying, he just rapping without a beat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could do that. Because also, you know, verses are 16 bars long.
Right.
Which is like 60 seconds, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, man, I could rap as long as I want to without a beat. Let's do it. And so then I told myself, I declared at age 17, I'm a spoken word artist now. And so I would write these like long raps and come up with concepts and stuff. And then when I got to college, I stayed in where did I stay?
You stayed in Right.
True Blow was the dining hall. I stayed in Right One.
With me, nigga. That's
Right
where we
1,
met
2,
at,
3.
nigga. We met in
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
One.
okay.
Right One.
I stayed in Right One, 123.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like I'm on campus like hunting, like I know somebody's spitting here. I know somebody doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And in the basement of True Blood where I worked at, I walked through one night to like go to the vending machine or something. And I seen people in the cafe latte. And I said, oh shit, here it is. And I seen my man Brandon Moore, he called himself E.Clips.
Okay.
And I seen Stephen Rahman, he called himself Relic. And I saw
Relic. Oh
Turtle.
shit.
Yes, yeah.
I remember Relic.
Turtle, his name is Gregory Screen. And I saw Turtle and they whole crew.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like, I said, oh, this is it. This is where it is. And I remember I come in there, I signed the list. And I stayed in touch with them the whole time. And they had an organization called Underground Arts.
Okay.
And throughout my college experience, I would always go to open mics. And, you know, I would just absorb knowledge from them. That's how I met King Gandy.
Mm-hmm.
He had recording equipment. We stayed in a trailer on the east side of Carter. And I remember going to a trailer and recording something. But yeah, that's how spoken word became it. And after that, I'm like, all right, bet. And so it started in college, really.
Mm-hmm.
My mom moved back to Maywood. So I was born in Maywood, Illinois, west suburb of Chicago. So my mom moved back to Maywood after my pops went to prison. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, all right, bet. I know Chicago got open mics.
Right.
So I go on yahoo.com, open mic Chicago. And it was a list of places. First thing that popped up was called The Note, the Blue Note.
The Blue Note.
In Wicker Park.
Mm-hmm.
And
You going in and out.
you know, like that poetry jam.
You you went out at Blue Note. Go back to where you said you looked up and you came up on a Blue Note.
So boom, so I go to yahoo.com and I search Chicago open mic.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that popped up was the Green Mill.
The Green Mill,
But
the
when I
Pepper
looked
Mill.
it up
Okay.
on MapQuest, it was too far north. I said, all right, nah, that's too far of a drive. Like, I'm not going there. And then I looked up The Note on Milwaukee. It was on Milwaukee Avenue, right by Damon and North. And I'm like, yo, we go to North Avenue in Melrose Park, you know what I'm saying, to go shopping or whatever, me and my cousins. So I'm like, bet, I'm going to just take, bro, I didn't trust 290. Tell me why I took North Avenue all the way from Melrose Park all the way downtown. I drove it all the way. I think it's Illinois Route 56 or something like that. But anyhow, I called my boy George, who was Authentic Made. That's the producer name.
Mm-hmm.
I met him at SIU. I had him meet me there. So we drive to The Note, and when we there, we meet this dude named Shadow Master. tall Jamaican dude, super long locks, real black. And they like, yo, you gotta be 21 to get in. So I show them my ID with my Peoria address. I'm like, yo, I drove here all the way from Peoria. I'm lying.
Right.
Bro, I drove all the way here from Peoria. I just want to spit, get on the mic. He's like, all right, no, the host, my bad. The host at the door, he said, you gotta ask Shadow. I said, who's Shadow? He's like, he's over at Subterranean across the street.
Mm.
So go to Sub T and ask Shadow. If he let you in, you good. So I walk over to Subterranean. I ask for Shadow. He come out. I show him my ID. He walk me in, me and George.
Okay.
He like, yo, they coming for the open mic. They spit and then they gotta leave. They can't linger around the bar, none of that.
Okay.
I'm like, bet. So I remember like they was playing a beat. They was like, yo, you could rap for 60 seconds. And when the beat go off, that's it. That's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had verses memorized. So like you mentioned earlier, I was freestyling. I had to correct you because I don't freestyle. Like I refuse to because I always want my shit to be super cold.
Okay. That
so
makes sense why everything was always so cold when you when you were in the cipher.
I wasn't that nice. Yeah, no, I used to memorize verses.
Okay.
I used to have 7 to 8 verses memorized in my head,
Mm-hmm.
just in case it was a cipher or just in case somebody wanted to rap. I can out-rap them.
Right.
And it seems like I had more than enough because I'm like 3 or 4. No, that ain't enough. I need like 7 or 8. So when niggas run out of raps, they like, damn, he gonna keep on going,
Right.
and they good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at we go to the Blue Note. I spit my verse and then I leave out, and I felt like unfulfilled because I'm like, I don't want to do it on my poems, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But they got the beat going. I got to rap on beat. And the next thing that was number 3, I go back to the list on MapQuest. Number 3 said the Negro League Cafe, East Winds Production, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an open mic on 43rd and Prairie. And I got there. I took the highway and everything. And I remember going there and people said, oh, you on the low end and all this? I ain't know nothing about nothing. I'm from the West Burbs. I grew up in Maywood. I'm a fearless man. Unless I see danger clear and present,
Right.
I'm going anywhere in Chicago.
Right.
If I don't see base heads outside, if I don't see crackheads outside, I'm going. Like, I don't care. And so I remember going to 43rd, and that's where I seen at least 2 or 3 people from Def Poetry.
Okay.
I was like, I'm in the right spot.
Mm.
And from there, like, I kept going there. Every time I went home from school, I was making sure I never missed a Tuesday. And that's where I met Emerald Green.
Okay.
I met a bunch of people. Who was there? Phenom. I met June. I met Triple Black, who was on Def Poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I met Red Storm, who was on Def Poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And just a bunch of people. And I remember like staying in touch with them. They would tell me about other spots. They would tell me like, hey, go to Jokes and Notes on Thursdays. Because at Jokes and Notes, Thursdays did like a variety open mic. So you could do a poem there. And so from that, I was able to, just find different spots. Every time I went to a place, I would ask questions, especially if I saw other artists there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that would go. Yep.
I don't want to hold too much more of your time, but I got to hit these 2 topics real quick.
Okay.
How did you get, so you went from there, fast forward a little bit, you end up on the road with Big Boy from Outkast, which was kind of full circle because you said the first time you heard hip hop was Elevators by Outkast. How was that experience being on the road with him and being able to showcase your music in front of large crowds?
Man, so like Big Boy, first of all, he's a real humble cat. Friendly dude. We actually cool to this day, man. I FaceTimed him when I was headed to my wedding ceremony with my groomsmen, and they was freaking out. They was like, bro, Big Boy answers your FaceTimes? And I'm like, yeah, dog, that's the homie. But I don't FaceTime him every day either, But I got a chance to open for him in Chicago. I'm trying to remember how it happened. But yeah, I got a chance to open for him in Chicago at Park West. It's a spot called Park West on the north side. It's like northeast side or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to open for him on Park West, and I showed up with the full costume. Like I had a tuxedo. I had my homies in suspenders and bow ties. And I had dancers, they had dresses on, and we had the band. And I'm just like, yo, we get to do this 3-song set.
And you're going to make it right.
Like that.
And you're going to make it
and
happen.
They let me open. Yeah, and after the Chicago show, he said, if you make it to the Milwaukee show, you can open there too.
Mm.
So I'm like, Milwaukee is like a 4-hour drive. Like, and so I rented the van and everybody rolled with me. And we came to Milwaukee and we opened up in Milwaukee. And but the big thing is like soft skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Soft skills is like networking, knowing how to read a room, talking to people, introducing yourself, and making folks feel comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't kissing their ass, so to speak. So it's like when I'm not performing, I'm not just sitting there waiting for my next performance. I'm saying what's up to the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying what's up to the promoter. I'm saying what's up to like the background singers and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm building with them, getting to know who they are. And what I realized later on is that like they'll plant seeds for you in your absence.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If you good, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so when I heard about his tour, I think he was going on tour and he broke his leg. So his tour paused for 6 months. And after that, I came up on some money and I'm like, yo, let me meet you here. And so I ended up meeting him in Chattanooga when his tour picked back up.
Okay.
And I did like 4 more, like the last 4 dates of his tour.
Dope.
And it ended in DC.
Dope.
And I'd already planted seeds in DC. So I had people from the poetry community that could like let me crash on the couch or whatever the case may be. And so it was cool that when I went to other cities, like people already knew me. And I knew that his team kind of took note of that. Like, hey, bro ain't really good at rapping, but he's also like networking. He's meeting people. So my mom was actually at a conference in Boston when we did a show in Boston. And I drove up from New York because I was visiting my homeboy, Dave. And actually, Dave went to Carbondale. And Dave's little sister is Josie.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. That's what's
let me
up.
tie this for you.
Okay.
Your mind. So Open Mike Eagle,
Uh-huh.
who's done stuff with Hannibal Buress, because you know Hannibal went to SIU.
Right. Yeah.
So Open Mike Eagle and Hannibal Buress, they like super best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Open Mike was one of the original members of Underground Arts.
Okay.
So they used to always talk about him when I wasn't there, and they're like, he's like, Mike, man, he's real good and he cares. He's like Mike. I'm like, who is Mike? No, it's a dude named Open Mike Eagle, man. You just gotta see. You just gotta see him. And eventually, like, I like Googled him and I seen him like battling stuff. I thought he was dope.
Right.
So Mike, whenever you see Mike, he's with a cat named Video Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Dave's name is Dave Maxime. Dave Maxime is Josette Maxime's older brother.
Right. And I know Josie. You know, Josie was part of my little crew in Carbondale. That's
right.
dope.
So,
okay.
Exactly. So Dave stay in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
And whenever I was in Brooklyn, he'll let me crash with him. Even if he wasn't there, he'll leave me the lockbox code.
So then my cousin Zardon, who used to stay with Dave too.
Yeah, we had a good long conversation.
And he do music. Sure. He do comedy and music and stuff like that too.
yeah. Dark skinned dude.
Yeah.
I met him one time, probably the third time I visited Dave. So boom. So I'm with Dave. I'm like, yo, because he was working for Enterprise still.
Mm-hmm.
He got us a discount. We rented a car. We drive from Brooklyn all the way to Boston.
Damn.
My big boy's manager, Angela Redding, who is actually 3000's older cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so Angelo gives my mom a plus one. She in the VIP sitting because she was there for a conference.
Okay.
So we all drive up there, do the show. And then the next show was in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Bowl.
Oh.
So we drive up to Boston, do the show, drive back to New York. And then I do the Brooklyn show as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay Ivey and his wife, Tari Teray, they met me at the Brooklyn show.
Damn.
And so that was even doper too, because he was like, yo, I'm going to give you some comps for anybody you want to invite. But in the meantime, in between these shows, I'm finding dates and spots to hit up. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man. But look, hey, this is my wife on the other line, man.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, man. Man, thanks for coming on, B. I appreciate it, man. This is great conversation, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man. I'll holler at you soon.
All right, you're welcome, bro.
All right, bro.
Mm-hmm.
There y'all have it. Another episode of the Empromptu Podcast. That one wasn't actually cut short. That one was just leaving us room to run a part 2. But the second thing that I was gonna ask Brandon or talk to Brandon about is, Brandon actually runs a men's Bible study and prayer group every Saturday morning. I've been a part of it. I usually catch him because it's early, like 5 or 6 a.m. But it's a good thing he does. When men come on, we read the Bible, we pray, we talk about things that's going on in our lives, we get advice from other men. It's a positive thing, and I love it. Whenever I can join in, I do. So I will definitely be getting Brandon on for a second episode, talk more about that and everything else is going on, man. Thank y'all so much. As once again, we closing out another great episode of the Empromptu Podcast. I'm your host, M. Brown, and make sure y'all like and subscribe and tune in next time. Thank y'all so much.
You know we friends, found out she can smoke and she can roll, now let the show begin. Feeling like a roster with the dreads, can't feel my feet, got me feeling like I'm walking on my head. Yo shit ain't potent, you be choking on the rig, inhaling copper, it feel like you took a chopper to the head. I might just need another course and driver's ed, I be stopping at them